Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham veda sarvani Na tvam vetha parantapa. Shri Bhagavan said, Arjun, you and I have passed through many births. I remember them all. You do not remember, O chastiser of foes. Parantapa is Arjun, meaning chastiser of foes. Arjun has killed so many asuras, so many adharmis, and they have all been afraid of him. So Bhagwan is using this name, Parantapa, for Arjun here, telling Arjun, you will also be able to conquer this doubt, conquer this inability to understand, because you have been a Parantapa. You have been a chastiser of many foes. You have killed many doubts, many asuric tendencies. You will be able to conquer this one too. Okay, let's take the meanings. Bahuni means many. Janmani, lives, many of my lives. Bahuni and Janmani, many of my lives. Vyatitani, have passed. Many of my lives have passed. Tvacha, yours also. Cha means and also. You also. You also have passed through many lives. Aham, I. Veda, know. Tani, them. I know them. Sarvani, all of them. I know all of them. Tvam, you. Na veta, do not know them. Parantapa, chastiser of foes. Putting it all together, many of my lives have passed, and so have yours, Arjun. I know them all, but you don't know them, Arjun. Very important shlok, because in this shlok, for the first time, Bhagwan is giving authenticity to the principle of reincarnation. See, you and I, we don't doubt that there is something called reincarnation, that we live many lives, we die many times, we are born many times, and it's a process. But there are many people who don't believe in reincarnation. And so here in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan, with his own voice, with his own words, he is giving validity to this principle of reincarnation. And by doing this, Bhagwan is giving a hint to Arjun that in reality, he is not just his Sakha, but he is Paramatma. And he is Paramatma, taken an avatar of Krishna over here to give this knowledge again, which has got lost because of lapse of time. But Arjun's buddhi is still little kacha, still little immature, not evolved enough, and Arjun doesn't immediately catch the hint. So Bhagwan has to explain it more in detail. To explain it again, and not that he has not talked about reincarnation and many lives in chapter 2, he has already given full jnana of Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. And again, Arjun is asking this question, but Bhagwan doesn't get impatient. Bhagwan doesn't get irritated. Again, Arjun, I've told you so many times, can't you get it? No. Bhagwan doesn't get irritated with Arjun's repeated question. And that shows what a true guru should do. A true guru will keep answering the same question, the same doubt, the same clarification again and again and again and again, till the Shishya achieves spiritual maturity to understand it. However, the Guru knows how much the Shishya can understand. So he gives the knowledge in baby steps. He gives the knowledge as much as the Shishya can understand at that particular time. When the Shishya's buddhi, intellect evolves, more knowledge is given, more detailed knowledge is given, more deeper knowledge is given, like petals of a flower, keep opening one petal till you come to the core, the essence of that knowledge. Now, for most people, our intellect is stuck in the lower function. Lower function of the intellect, as you all know, is judging, evaluating, comparing, passing judgments. And because of that, it is unable to understand these very subtle concepts of Vedanta. To the extent that even if Bhagwan were to come and stand in front of them, even if Bhagwan were to speak to their inner self, they would not be able to understand it. They would not be able to see Bhagwan, because maybe in their mind, Bhagwan has a particular form that we would normally see in the images of Bhagwan, and they're expecting Bhagwan to come in front of them with one crown, with a lot of jewelry, conch in the hand, maybe trishul in the hand, maybe a mace, maybe a lotus in one hand. And Bhagwan, who is in front of me, doesn't have all these, accessories. So even if Bhagwan were to speak to them through someone, they would not be able to get it. So our buddhi needs to be cleaned, our buddhi needs to be refined, purified, made fully sattvic through all the sadhanas that are being prescribed in the Vedas. Then they will understand that subtle message that comes to them through themselves. Nobody's going to come in front of you and tell you anything. It has to come from within you, and that is called direct experience or aparoksh anubhuti. So this knowledge now is being explained step by step by baby step to Arjun by the avatar Bhagwan Krishna. And Bhagwan Krishna says that each one of us have been born lakhs and lakhs of times. We have been born lakhs of times, and we have died also lakhs of times. But we can't remember all these many lives that we have lived. Why? Because our buddhi is not yet subtle enough, sattvic enough to understand it. But Bhagwan says, Bahuni me vyatitani. I have passed through many births. Now it is necessary. Why is it necessary to pass through so many births? Why does Bhagwan have to take avatar so many times, come from wherever and live, appear as a human, be as a human, not only as a human? Bhagwan has taken so many avatars, sometimes as a fish, sometimes as a tortoise, sometimes as a boar, sometimes half man, half lion, sometimes as a dwarf, and of course as a human also. Bhagwan says, I have taken all these forms and I remember them. The difference is you, Arjun, and all of us also, Tvacha, you also have taken, not only me, you also have taken birth many, many times. And we have lived lakhs of lifetimes. And we have also lived in many forms. Sometimes we have come as a fish. Sometimes we may have come as an insect. Sometimes we may have come as a snake. And every time, and of course, human. This is not our first human birth. If it were our first human birth, I can assure you, you would not be sitting and listening to the Bhagavad Gita. So you have lived many human lives. I can assure you that. And every time, even as a human, we have missed the opportunity to liberate ourselves from this never-ending cycle of life and death. Every time we have taken birth, even as a human, we have experienced more dukh than sukh. Every time we have experienced more worry than peace. Every time we have experienced more expectations than glad acceptance. And that is why, because of that, because of this constant worry, because of these expectations, because of these desires that we keep accumulating, we have to be born again and again. And every time we have missed that opportunity of getting released from this cycle of life and death to attain Sat, Chit, Anand. So every lifetime has been dedicated, let me say, every lifetime has been dedicated to seeking Sukh. What is Sukh? Temporary happiness. We are born. Let's understand that first. Why are we born? We are born because we have some unfulfilled desires from a previous lifetime. And to fulfill those desires, when that desire becomes very, acute, that in the subtle body before birth, it pushes us to take birth again to fulfill those desires. That is why humans are born. That is why we are born. And what about Bhagwan? Is Bhagwan taking an avatar because of unfulfilled desires? Surely not. Surely not. Bhagwan takes a manifested form for what? Out of compassion. To teach us, to liberate us, to lead us to that knowledge which can liberate us. So Bhagwan takes avatar out of compassion for us who are stuck here in this mire of sansar. And we take birth to fulfill our unfulfilled desires, and we get stuck further, almost like quicksand, almost like some swampy, forest, where because we keep accumulating more and more desires, we get stuck more and more. So we are all born because a result of our past life. And as soon as we are born, we forget about our past lives. We forget the reason why we are taking birth. And because of that, current life also is based on the vasanas, because we have come with some unfulfilled desire. And the thing is, we will take birth in that, environment where we will be able to fulfill that desire. And by fulfilling that desire, we give energy to that desire, we strengthen that desire, and then again, next life, same thing happens. So, the gurus and all the sons have given us one example. There is one kind of an insect which has got these antennas, feelers, and it loves the smell of honey or sweetness, sugar, you can say. So they say that if you just apply a little bit of honey on those antennas, this insect which loves the smell of sweetness will just keep going towards that smell, thinking that it's going to find the honey that it can eat. But that honey is on its own antennas. It's on its own feelers. So as that insect keeps walking forward, that antenna also goes forward, and that honey smell also goes forward till it keeps walking to find it. But it cannot find it because that honey smell is also going away from him, forward. And finally, it dies. When the insect dies, with that unfulfilled desire of finding that honey, which is on its own antennas. And when it takes birth again in the next life, it gets birth with the vasana of that honey. And then same story again. Till the insect can understand, till the insect can realize the honey that it's looking for is within itself, on itself, part of itself. And isn't that what we all are? Are we not that insect which is looking for the honey somewhere, not realizing that it is part of us? We keep looking for sukh outside and we think we will be happy. No, we are happy. We will think we will be happier. We are all in the pursuit of being happier. Let me just get good marks in my exam, then I will be happier. Let me get a good job. Let me get a good girl to get married to. Let me get a good son. Let me get a good house. Let me get this award. Let me get this recognition. Let me get this good car. Whatever. Then I will be happier. If only. What are we doing? We are postponing our own happiness. We are happy, but we want to be happier. And because we want to be happier, we don't realize that we are already happy, that we can be very happy with whatever we have. And that, not realizing that itself is our dukh. Isn't it? Don't you think so? We keep adding conditions for our happiness. We keep adding desires. We keep adding wishes. We keep adding sankalps. Maybe get some more of these desires fulfilled. More we want. These never-ending vasanas are making us bound to sansar. Then the jeev has to take birth in a new body. Again, pursue the same thing. Jeev will keep taking birth in different environments so that the vasana will get fulfilled. Now, the important thing is how to overcome these vasanas. Where are these vasanas? They are deep within you. You can't reach them. How to control, how to overcome. So these ancient rishis and all have given us a superb story. I'll tell you the story. So once upon a time, there was a king and he declared a competition, challenge in his kingdom that if anyone can bring me one goat, and if that goat refuses to eat whatever I give him, the goat refuses to eat, then I will give 100 gold coins to that goat herd, to that person. But if the goat eats, then that person has to go to prison for the rest of his life. So many people came. They would feed the goat, force feed the goat just before taking the goat to the palace. Force feed, make the goat really full. The minute food was offered to the goat would eat it again. Every time the prisons were getting full up. Nobody was successful. One wise goat herd was there. He said he would try, but he asked the king to give him some 15 days time to prepare his goat. King said, prepare. I am so sure that there is no goat who will not eat when something is given to him. So now what this goat herd did, he would feed the goat well once in the day so that the goat would not die or anything. And then when the goat herd would give one more meal, of course, even with the goat being full, the goat would go to eat. When the goat would go to eat, even though it was full, the goat herd would take one stick, one danda, and give him one nice whack. Okay. Every time he would he would give the goat good, nutritious, fully satisfying meal. And then he would give another meal a little later. And when the goat would go to eat, one beating. Now, the goat would keep doing the same thing. He would take the beating and he would go and eat. Take the beating and he would go and eat. Even after beating, he would eat. But at some stage, the goat realized that when I eat, this goat herd gives me a good whack. So after some 10, 12 days, the goat would eat. The goat herd would bring the food. The first thing the goat would do is check. Any stick around? Is there any stick in the goat herd's hand? No. Okay, I can eat. But the minute the food was brought and he would see the stick, the goat refused to eat. He associated stick means be careful, don't eat, savdhan. After that, when the goat herd realized that this nishtha had come in the goat's head, see, even the goat can learn something. So when the goat learned that stick means no eating, no stick means go ahead, eat. When he got that nishtha and the goat herd, saw that the goat had learned its lesson, that day he fed the goat really well, good food, whatever the goat liked. And then he took the goat to the palace. The goat herd said, King, here's my goat. You can feed whatever you want. He will not eat now. So the king laughed. There is no goat like that, who doesn't eat. So he brought all the choicest grass and choicest whatever goats love. I don't know. But the goat looked here and there, saw the goat herd, and the goat herd definitely took his stick with him, obviously. So, stick is there. Didn't look at the food. He looked at the stick. The king was a little surprised. He told his mantri, the ministers, bring more good food, choicest food, best fruits, best vegetables, best of everything. Goat looks at the stick and refuses to eat. The king was, of course, surprised, but the goat herd never told the king the story or the secret of why the goat did not eat. Who is this goat? This goat is our organs of perception. They are our sense organs. No matter how much you feed them, no matter how many vishays and how many times it sees the vishay, perceives the vishay, smells the vishay, tastes the vishay, no matter, it is never content. These sense organs are never going to be content. These sense organs always want more, like the goat. Never content. Lifetime after lifetime, not content. This is the nature of the sense organs. So, what is that stick? What is that stick that we can use to teach the sense organs to be content? If vivek and vairagya, the ability to have a discrimination between sat and asat, is not being understood by the intellect, if asat is not being able to be dropped by the intellect through vairagya, so if our buddhi is not mature enough to develop vivek and vairagya and not listen to these sense organs, you cannot stop the sense organs. You have to train the buddhi. But if the buddhi is so jad, if the buddhi is so mood, so dense that it is not understanding, then you need the stick like the goat. And that stick is tapasya. Who is the goat herd? I don't know. You can be your own goat herd, or then you have to make your guru a goat herd. Okay, the poor guru has to become a goat herd, wielding a stick of tapasya, but not necessary. If your nishtha, if your belief in your goal is to attain supreme bliss, supreme Satchit Anand, then you can be your own goat herd, isn't it? You don't need somebody else to give you beatings with a stick. So, stick, if you cannot do, then I suppose a guru will have to do it. Put an end to your vasanas. And if you don't put an end to your vasanas, unfortunately, the jiva will have to take birth again and again and again and again. And unfortunately, with each birth, without this knowledge, without this nishtha, without this vivek, vairagya, or then tapasya, the vasanas are getting stronger, stronger, stronger. Guys, it's getting more difficult with each successive birth. Therefore, in this lifetime, we have been given not only Ishwar Kripa, meaning human birth, we have been given Shruti Kripa. You are sitting in a satsang, listening to the teachings of Bhagwan Krishna. Bhagwan Krishna is your guru here. Guru Kripa has been given to you. Only one thing is left for you. What is that? Swaha Kripa. Your own effort, your own belief, your own nishtha. You have to make it strong. And then you have to get out of this cycle. Why? Because we are in Kali Yuga. And you know, with each successive decade or each successive 100 years of Kali Yuga or 1,000 years of Kali Yuga, we are going to get into worse and worse situations in samsara. I think you should take this lifetime as an opportunity to get out of this cycle of life and death, right? That's why Bhagwan is telling Arjun, Tanyaham Veda Sarvani. I remember all my lives. I remember that I was a fish. I remember I was a boar. I remember I was a tortoise, everything. I remember all my avatars. And I remember now also that I am an avatar and I am telling this to you. Don't you think this is quite understandable that Bhagwan understands all his avatars and remembers all his avatars? Because Bhagwan is omniscient. He remembers everything. He knows everything. But na tvam veta. But you do not remember. You do not remember your previous births. Now, should we remember them? I say, thank God we don't remember. We should be very grateful to our Creator that He has allowed us to forget our previous lives. There are people who will help you remember. Maybe some people need to remember how wicked they were or what mistakes they made so that they can correct it in this life. Maybe there are people who need that. But I say you don't need any of it. You need to understand this knowledge. You need to understand what is binding you here in this life. You don't need to know anything about past life. You simply need to understand this knowledge in this life. That's all. See, our memory is such that we forget even what happened to us yesterday. Forget yesterday. We forget even our own goals. We make a goal and then we forget that we have made this goal. And our journey takes us to the opposite direction of our goal. Now, if we were to remember, and this goal we have made now, recently, yet we forget it. How will we remember all past lives' goals and past lives' actions and past lives, whatever we did? My God, we'll not be able to live peacefully in this life only. We will go into, computer, too much memory you put, too many data you put, it hangs. We would also hang like that. Now let us suppose you remembered your past life. Let us suppose you are really dukhi, you're getting some really bad karma in this life, and you really want to know, why am I getting all this bad karma, this very bad life I'm having? What was it in my past life? And you learn you were a murderer. Possible? You were a murderer. Would you be able to live this life peacefully? Would you be able to? I think you would be riddled with guilt. And you wouldn't be able to wash that off easily. Now you are waiting to finish feeling bad about being a murderer of a past life. How will you get the sadguns? How will you get that stability in your mind? How will you get that peace? How will you get that equipoise and serenity which you need to overcome these vasanas here? Okay, let's take the opposite. What if you were told that in your past life, you were a billionaire or maybe a zillionaire, if that exists, I don't know. Richest person in the world. And that's why you're having all this punya in this life. Actually, it won't make you feel so good. Because you say, well, I was a zillionaire, then why I'm just getting a salary of 1 lakh rupees in this life? I want more. I want to be that zillionaire. I was zillionaire, I should be zillionaire now also. The mind is like that. It will always find something to be discontent. Always find something to be discontent. Recently I visited Naimisharanya and I visited the ashram where my Dada Guru has an ashram. Dada Guru means the guru of my guru. And we saw how content the people were. And they took me around to see all their rooms, their living conditions. I'm telling you, they were so content in just living in a bare room, sleeping on a wooden cot, which simply had a cloth to cover it, no plush mattresses, a simple, a place to do their puja, maybe one small little stove on which to make some food, a community restroom for everyone. So simple, so basic, and yet they had smiles. They offered whatever they had with 100% love to share. I was so moved. I think this visit has been for me one turning point in my life. It has deepened my vairagya so much that I am unable to even express what I saw there, that complete divine contentedness with so little. And I said, I wish everyone here who is privy to this beautiful knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam should understand that happiness is not in the Vishayas. Vishay is vish. Vishay is poison. Be content with what you have. Don't try to be more content. Don't try to be happier, because happiness is not in the object. It's in the way you perceive yourself and understand that happiness lies within us itself. So, don't be looking in the wrong place for achieving your goal. Look within. The difference between Ishwar taking avatar and this Jiva taking avatar is that Ishwar takes birth, manifests, takes avatar out of compassion to help all of us, to help this Jeev understand, point us to the right direction. And the Ishwar understands and remembers all the avatars. Jeev takes birth because of vasanas. Jeev takes birth just to fulfill the vasanas and doesn't remember anything because Jeev's buddhi is not yet mature enough to understand. All right, so now let's see what more Bhagwan is going to explain to Arjun. Because Arjun has said, you are of recent origin and birth of Vivaswan was so old. How can I then understand this knowledge that you're giving me? And Bhagwan has said, I have passed through many births. I remember them all. You do not remember them. He goes further now to explain in Shloka 6.